fittingly enough, we're sitting here on New Year's Eve, and going into the beginning of every year, what do people have?
Mm-hmm. Resolutions.
Have these New Year resolutions.
Absolutely.
They're resolved to do something different or to behave in a different manner than what they did last year. Oh, my New Year's resolution is to take these 10 pounds off, is to get my master's degree, is to do this, is to be an entrepreneur, is to save money, is to buy a house. And that resolve or that resolution, which is like a resolution to everything that you did in the past that didn't work. So let me find another solution.
A resolution. Whoa, you glossed over that. That's actually pretty interesting wordplay. Resolution. So you had a solution, maybe it didn't work, so now I got to have a resolution. I like that. I never thought about it that way. Pretty cool.
So that's what it is.
What's happening, y'all? This is Mike D with Black Fathers Now, where we're bringing the village to the brothers. Every couple of weeks, you can look forward to a quick inspirational message or a thought-provoking guest with knowledge and wisdom, all geared towards helping you be the best father that you can be. We're bringing the village to you. Now it's your turn to do something with what you learned. All right, y'all. Let's go.
What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D, Mr. Double Down on You, and we're here with another episode of Black Fathers Now. Now, dig this, man. We are going to have a really dope conversation with this entrepreneur who's doing his doggone thing, man. Like, he's impacting the world of transportation, the world of fashion, the world of speaking, just entrepreneurship across the board. And the brother has a neat story, man. And the brother that we have is none other than my man, Antwuan Hill. And Antwuan's originally from Brownsville, Tennessee. And he went to the University of Tennessee, played football there. And, you know, from there, he's had a really unique journey through this whole thing of entrepreneurship. And he's going to talk a little bit about that and kind of how he's gotten to a place in which he's really embodied the motto of his brands, rethink the way you move. Rethink the way you move. So he's really going to kind of dive into that and kind of give us a snippet of his life and what he's done and what he's doing and then how you can connect with him. So fellas and ladies listening too, because we know y'all like to peek in the Black Fathers Now family, let's welcome my man, Antwuan Hill. What's going on, brother?
What's up, brother? How are you? It's been a long time. How long has it been since our last interview?
It's been a couple of years. Actually, you weren't on Black Fathers Now. You were on the Fit Urban Life show.
I was on the Fit Urban Life.
Yeah, so that was, and Black Fathers Now has been going on since the summer of 2017. I interviewed you 2016.
2016, yeah.
Yeah, so that was, it was towards the end of the Fit Urban Life show. So the Black Fathers Now family, the folks who did not follow or come from the Fit Urban Life show, this is going to be your first time getting a glimpse of my man, Antwuan Hill. So if you can see what's going on, he was just giving himself the whole salute, whatever. But we're sitting out here in L.A., right? Fabulous L.A., sitting up in this really dope condo overlooking downtown.
70-something degrees.
70-something degrees. Yeah, on New Year's. We're recording this on New Year's Eve. Right? We're releasing it later, but we're recording on New Year's Eve. And but long story short, man, you know, rethink the way you move, man. Like, that is a really powerful concept, and I really am interested to see how you tie your brands together under that umbrella. But before we get started, we always like to give shout outs, right? So when we come on, we like to make sure to give credence or give credit to the folks that help us to do what we do, our support system. So before we get started, man, give a shout out or give some shout outs to the folks that kind of help you to keep things moving, brother.
Well, let me first say, let me give a first shout out to my father, George Hill. He passed away in 2012, but his tutelage or the example that he showed me in life, he was a very hard worker, a very humble man, you know, from the South, a country boy, just like I am. And the way that he conducted his life in terms of getting up, going to work every day, being this blue-collar worker, and instilling in me the basic values of life and stability, that I would say that's my biggest shout out. Above that, it's been my village that has raised me. I can even remember back to my days in Knoxville with you and B. Rice, and you know, us younger people looking to y'all as just the examples of what a black man should be.
Man, you older than me.
But still, y'all were there before.
I know. We're just
were
talking.
There before that. But, you know, I was still running around a knucklehead.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you had a basis or a foundation that we aspire to get to. Even now, looking at the things that you do, even with the podcast, and even though this being the second rendition of that podcast, you know, I still look up to you in a lot of aspects, and us just being able to sharpen each other's over hamburger and French dip sandwich.
Uh-huh.
You know, but my village, my whole village, my mom, my dad, like I said, my brothers, the family, the nucleus that we had in Knoxville, that core group of us that always got together, whether it was for a cookout or to go to an event. Or
Good times.
Man, great times, unforgettable times. But everybody in my life that I've encountered has been a support group to help me to be where I am. Everybody, every single person. I can pinpoint different examples of people in my life that have shaped and molded me to what you see now.
And it's interesting. You know, I led with rethink the way you move, but it sounded like you had some examples on how to move.
I think we all have examples on how to move. I think what I was able to do, because I'm a Pisces, whatever that means, but I'm an introvert.
Okay.
And introverts don't mean that people, it doesn't mean that we don't like to be, and I read this morning, it's not like we don't like to talk, or we don't like to engage with people, or we don't like to be social. We are just picky about who we choose to socialize and engage with.
Ooh, dude, check this out. People people literally, folks will trip and not believe when I say this, but I'm an introvert who's really good with people. Like that's my thing. I can turn it on. Like I can stand on the stage in front of 2,000 people and MC a program or do this or speak or whatever, work a crowd. But then I'm also just as comfortable being in the car by myself for 10 hours or sitting down reading a book or being in the back room and being fine. I don't have to be like New Year. We're recording this on New Year's Eve. I'm not going anywhere for New Year's Eve. I don't want to party. That's not my thing. Like I'm not needing to be in the crowds. I'm really comfortable being with myself, but I can turn it on. And what's interesting, there's a, I don't know, have you watched that show? I think comedians riding in the car with coffee or something. It's a Jerry Seinfeld thing.
Cars and Coffee.
Yeah, something like this. I think
I know what you're talking about. I've seen snippets of some of the episodes.
Yeah, and so it was interesting. Somebody made a comment because Eddie Murphy was on there one time, and they were like, Eddie Murphy was in a car with Jerry Seinfeld, and they was like, Eddie Murphy was just like so just chill. Like he was like almost like nervous, like, you know, he was one of those guys where it was not what you expected from Eddie Murphy, because we always saw him on stage. We saw him, you know, acting or in a movie or whatever. But the reality was his personality was not what it was on stage. You turn it on and you turn it off. And what you come to realize was a lot of comedians and a lot of people who are in the public eye are actually introverts who are just really good with people.
Like I always say, I'm an extroverted introvert.
There it is.
And I like it that way because I can choose who I want to engage with. If I'm in a room full of people, I'm probably going to be the one that's sitting back and just observing. I love the people watching all that. And then if there's a reason for me to engage with someone, I'm going to engage with them. It doesn't make me special or accomplished or whatever the case may be. It's just I'm selective about who I want to share my energy with, my time, and more importantly, my conversation with. Because if I'm going to converse with you, then I want to get something from you. A lot of people just want to put stuff onto you or share stuff with you. Let me get something instead of let me give you something. In return, I'm going to definitely give you something. It's just like this interview. I want to learn I learn more from the questions that you ask than the answers that I give.
That's interesting. You learn more.
The questions that you ask me allows me to dig deep into me to find more of the truth of me.
So you need somebody. So basically, and it's an interesting concept because usually folks are looking to pour into or to give or whatever. You're actually flipping it, saying like, no, I'm looking to gain something, because then when I gain something, then I can basically maybe multiply it and give it back to you. But at the end of the day, I need to gain something on the front end. in regards to our communication.
This is where therapy and psychiatrists and all this stuff come into play, because they don't talk to you. They just ask you questions. And by them asking you questions, you begin to talk. And really what you begin to do
you answer your own question.
You answer the answers are coming from you, but you never knew that those answers were in you, or this is what the problem was. Just like psychiatrists that sit you on the couch and say, well, tell me about your life. Then you start talking, then you start crying. And you're only crying because of your own words, because they're pulling something out of you that you didn't know was there.
You know what, dude? You know, it's interesting. Okay, you mentioned earlier how you and I were talking. We were going on all different subjects. Iron sharpens iron. And one of the things that I've come to realize is that one of the most challenging things to do is to stay in your own head, right? And for folks who don't have a network of people to communicate with, or for folks who don't go to therapy, or for folks who don't have that person in which they can kind of download stuff, it stays in your head. And it just stews in your head and you don't get it out. So therefore, by you not getting it out, you've not refined that thing that's been sitting in your head. So that's why it's so important. Even if you don't come away with any, concise answers, it's important to have safe spaces where you can dialogue and put ideas out there and kind of banter back and forth. Right. And so, fellas, again, this is Black Fathers Now. I want to encourage y'all to really think about that, man. Again, we bring the village to the brothers, right? So therefore, you bring information, insight, and wisdom, but it's also practical application. Take what Antwuan just said, this whole concept of really having the opportunity of having somebody to banter back and forth with in regards to the ideas that you have. Don't let the ideas just sit in your head. Because really, if it sits there too long, you probably go crazy. I'm going to be real with you. You know what I'm saying?
I was just going to say
that.
People who we deem as crazy or psychotic or have mental disabilities or whatever the case may be, we put them in institutes. It's not a direct result of medication that they're on or how they were raised or whatever. It's a direct result of their isolation in society and their isolation in their immediate world. Because if I only talk to myself, and I only communicate with myself and only think to myself, and I don't have somebody else to communicate with, that's why therapists, why it's so important, like mental health and
having therapy, yeah, absolutely.
Therapy is so that you can communicate with somebody else, because if you only communicate with yourself, you begin to create this alternative universe or this alternative reality of what you have envisioned for yourself in the communication that you have with yourself. So what ends up happening is, and I'm not a therapist by any means.
No, it's all good. You're sitting in a chair like you a therapist, though.
What ends up happening is that you create your alternative universe where you answer yourself. And you talk to yourself, you ask yourself the questions, and then you answer those own questions within yourself. But there's nobody else to say whether that's right or wrong or give an alternating opinion. So what you end up doing is mirroring your same thoughts back to yourself.
Dude, and that's really interesting, because when you were talking, I was sitting here thinking about the concept of a closed loop, right? It's just like something just continuously goes on a loop and it's just circulating. And it's not getting any input, it's not no output, it's just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth around this circle. And that can be challenging, and it actually can be dangerous, because at the end of the day, if that's not a positive thought, if that's not something that's good, if that's not something that could be a benefit, then you're just literally marinating, and that thing becomes more and more intense. So, fellas, the takeaway from this particular point of the conversation is definitely find some place, somebody, a trusted confidant, a therapist, a friend, somebody where you can download some of these thoughts and get them out of your head, because it's real. Like, this stuff will cause you to, not be the way you need to be.
And taking it a step further without getting too far into it.
Okay.
Don't make that group a nucleus of people who think exactly like you.
Say that again, bro. Wow.
Don't make the nucleus of people who think exactly like you. Have people who think opposite of you, or people who challenge you to look at all aspects of things. Like, even though I'm an entrepreneur and I know the directions that I want to take, I may not always know how to get there. And I give a lot of credit to someone who has worked with me over the years, Alice Foy. She has her own company, Jane Ellen Production, or Digital Jane, and she does a lot for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But when she came to work with me, she forced me to not only see things the way that I've always seen it,
Mm-hmm.
but she forced me to take an alternate approach. And she would show me like, okay, you're doing stuff like this, and you've existed like this for so long, but you're trying to get to here. So think of doing things in this way, or
Mm-hmm.
changing this part up. And she added a lot of structure to my everyday operations that allowed me to not only exist and sustain, but to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I had brought somebody, and you know, we had a lot of butting of the heads and all of that, but it was worth it. But if I had allowed somebody to come in that thought like me and was a yes man or a yes woman into everything that I said or did, then I wouldn't be where I am today, because it wouldn't have allowed me to grow. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and it's interesting because that really leads back into this whole concept of rethink the way you move. Rethink the way you move. And you know, Antwuan mentioned, you know, you build a network of, you know, folks who can, you know, challenge you, who bring a different perspective to the table. But that is actually something that's not always comfortable, because we want to gravitate to, look, I like the folks who wear the same stuff I wear, listen to the same music I listen to, came from the same place I came from, like the same food I like. I mean, it keeps life easy, right? But it keeps life easy, but you don't grow.
You're going to do what you've always done and have what you've always had. I talk to so many people, even people in my family, who are inspired and they admire the steps that I've taken in life and the transitions that I've made, and they want to emulate that in some facets, but they don't want to leave the comforts of their environment to do so. And so I always tell them, like, you say you want this, but you don't want to do this, so how is that going to work? It's kind of like,
but you know what?
You want to be a swimmer, but you don't want to get wet.
That's right. But and you mentioned the comforts of your environment. It's interesting. You and I, before we started recording, had a conversation, and we were talking about geographic location and how, you know, I'm based out of Knoxville, Tennessee. You're here in Los Angeles. And, you know, we talked about the concept of the opportunities that are prevalent in various locations. And you mentioned that, you know, here in Los Angeles, you might go down outside the building and run into a Will Smith or so-and-so or whatever randomly, like these random collisions that could potentially lead to something. Whereas in smaller markets, you might not have access to, you know, folks who of certain levels or whatnot. And so, again, when you mentioned the concept of getting out of your environment or getting out of your comfort zone, and you and I were talking about the differences in opportunities in various locations, sometimes it means you do have to pick yourself up and move to or be in an environment that is a little bit different, which might not necessarily be comfortable, so that you can take advantage of some of the opportunities that you look forward to having in your life.
I've made 3 major transitions in my life. One, when I moved from home in Brownsville to Knoxville to go to the University of Tennessee. Didn't know anybody there. Didn't have family there. It's my first time away from home. Didn't have a lineage of people in my family who went to college who could give me tutelage and advice and experience on your first year of college and all that. But I knew that would give me a better opportunity than being at home. When I left Knoxville and went to Atlanta to further my transportation service, I knew a handful of people in Atlanta, but I didn't have a foundation there. But I knew that me going there would be better than where I was in Knoxville. When I moved all the way across the country to Southern California and ultimately Los Angeles, I knew no one in LA. You know, had some clients and stuff, so I knew of people here and had elbows, but I didn't know what I was going to. I didn't know how was going to get done what I wanted to do, but I knew that opportunity was better than where I was. So at each point, I had to be uncomfortable, trust on what I know, obviously my faith, my resolve, and all of that. But we wouldn't be sitting here looking over downtown LA if I remained comfortable.
That's interesting. if I remain comfortable. So again, back to the concept, rethink the way you move. Talk to us a little bit about what falls under that particular branding.
All right, so let's give a brief synopsis of Ace Elite Service, the umbrella.
Okay.
Last time we talked, I had Ace Elite Services, just a transportation
Ace Elite Services.
Yes,
Okay, gotcha.
and that has existed as a luxury transportation company, a luxury limousine company, if you will, that we started in Knoxville about 15 years ago, and it has grown from there. What that has done and what it continues to do is provide private luxury transportation for various individuals who want to move from point A to point B, be it from the airport to their home or to go out at night, to go to award shows, to go to parties. We do everything from celebrities to high net worth individuals to entertainers to athletes to every common day individuals. And
that's all over the country,
That's
right?
all over the country. We've done that. We've been fortunate to, over the course of 15 years, have over 2,500 affiliates nationwide that can assist us in moving our clients wherever they want to move to. That eventually involved into me taking on speaking engagements to speak to other corporate entities, to go to workshops and speak, to be invited to churches, organizations, conferences to speak, which led to Ace Speaks. So we have Ace Elite Services, the transportation side, and then we have Ace Speaks, which is me going and doing motivational speaking.
Okay.
And eventually, obviously, you're doing that, and people ask for products. They ask for, do you have a book out, which is coming in 2020. They actually you have pens, coffee mugs, apparel, or whatever. That eventually led to Ace Apparel 7, which is our apparel line, which is another entity that reminds people to rethink the way you move. Now, Rethink the Way You Move, that came about in 2013 from just the transportation side, because we wanted people to rethink the way that they travel when they went into a different city or their own city, or using public transportation versus private transportation, the safety, the convenience, the sometimes affordability of it, and the professionalism. So Rethink the Way You Move started out of the transportation movement that eventually grew into the motto for Ace Speaks. Our motto every time I go out and speak to somebody is to rethink the way you move, whether that's in transportation or in your personal life, in your love life, and working out, eating habits, profession, career, and all this stuff. If you want something different in your life, you have to rethink. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he.
Absolutely.
If you want to have different results, it first begins into mind. You got to think differently, then do differently to have differently. And that ultimately led to the Ace Apparel line, because we want to have people to have an everyday reminder of, if you want to do different, you have to be different and think different. So that's where Rethink the Way You Move came from, and that's what it has evolved into.
That's interesting, man. Rethink the way you move. And again, what he dropped not too long ago in this here conversation, he talked about the concept of when you build that network of folks, make sure you build that network of folks who literally might be a little bit different from yourself, who might think a little bit differently, hence rethink the way you move. You can't rethink the way you move by moving in the same way. And to help you move differently, you got to have some different inputs. I've always used the quote, exposure leads to opportunity, right? And the best way to get exposure is to expose yourself to stuff that's a little bit differently. Introduce yourself to someone who's a little bit different than yourself. It could be a brother who's from another place, who listens to different kind of music, who might be in a different industry, who maybe has a different type of lifestyle, whatever. Expose yourself to that brother and understand what he's doing, see how he's rolling, and maybe that can spawn you to look at things from a different angle. Rethink the way you move.
Fittingly enough, we're sitting here on New Year's Eve, and going into the beginning of every year, what do people have? They always have these New Year resolutions.
Absolutely.
They're resolved to do something different or to behave in a different manner than what they did last year. Oh, my New Year's resolution is to take these 10 pounds off, is to get my master's degree, is to do this, is to be an entrepreneur, is to save money, is to buy a house. And that resolve or that resolution, which is like a resolution to everything that you've did in the past that didn't work. So let me find another solution.
A resolution. Whoa, you see, you glossed over that. That's actually pretty interesting wordplay. Resolution. So you had a solution, maybe it didn't work, so now I got to have a re-solution. I like that. I never thought about it that way. Pretty cool.
So that's what it is. It's kind of like, okay, whatever was worked or whatever I tried wasn't working. So let me rethink this. Let me resolve this equation.
Resolution. I never thought about that. That's actually pretty interesting.
So I never thought about this.
I know, that's pretty cool. Yeah. We need to check. We need to brand that, man. That might be a resolution.
So rethink the way you move is applicable in any situation, in any narrative, in any genre, in any culture, whatever. Because we all want to aspire to be more than what we have. Even Elon Musk is not resting on his laurels on the accomplishments that he had. He's trying to come out with a better way to design a truck. He's looking to have the Hyperloop from Los Angeles or Southern California to Las Vegas. He's looking to go out of space. So he's always looking to expand and expound on what he has.
Interesting.
Everybody in life that you see who's doing anything of value,
they rethink it.
Like even me now, sitting here from when we had a conversation 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I have rethought a lot of my actions, a lot of the directions. 3 years ago, Ace Speaks didn't exist. 3 years ago, Ace Apparel 7 didn't exist. Now it does, not because I was comfortable in where Ace Elite Services was. I always knew there was more to attain, more to do. And it's not from a personal perspective, but there's especially being in Los Angeles and seeing the disparity gaps between the rich and the poor, seeing the homeless situation, seeing just culturally what's going on, not only in Los Angeles, but all across the country. There's a lot of things that I see that we can help further the cause of, or we can be a catalyst in initiating change, not only locally, but globally. So,
dude, I'm gonna tell you, like, when you're talking, the more and more I say it, the more and more I hear the concept, rethink the way you move, rethink the way you move. It's like, I think of conferences, I think about anything. It's like, rethink the way you move. It's like, yo, man, rethink the way you move. Man, I'm about to go make a dumb decision. Rethink the way you move. You know what I'm saying? Man, I'm thinking about trying this and rethink the way you move. Like, for some reason, that whole thing there, it resonates with me on a very deep level, because at the end of the day, if we really want to go to that next step, especially if we're not already moving towards that next step, we have to rethink the way we move. And so if folks wanted to kind of check out what you got going on with Ace 7 Apparel and Ace Elite Services and Ace Speaks, what's the best way for them to catch up with you and connect with you and, you know, sign up for the services and all that good stuff?
Call me, 1-800, no.
1-800-ACE Speaks now.
Everything that you can find me on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Ace Elite Services, Ace Apparel 7, or Ace Speaks. Well, not Ace Speaks. On the World Wide Web, you can find ace-speaks.com or aceeliteservices.com or aceapparel7.com.
Are they all separate?
They're all separate.
Can you link them from anywhere?
You can link Ace Elite Services would allow you to link to Ace Speaks and Ace Apparel 7.
Okay, so from Ace Elite Services.
Ace Elite Services allow you to link to the other two.
Hey, fellas and ladies, I'm going to have all of that in the show notes, but definitely make sure to visit Ace Elite Services and follow him on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Ace Elite Services, Ace Speaks, and Ace 7 Apparel.
Ace Apparel 7.
Ace Apparel 7. I'm going to have all that in the show notes so y'all can click the links and go and check him out, man, because really the brother's got a lot of stuff going on, man. And what's interesting, he's a really approachable brother that's doing a lot of different things.
From the country.
And he's from the country. Look, we sitting up here on the 31st floor on this high rise looking at everything, but the brother from the country.
Alpaca.
I had to take my shoes off because to put my feet on this here alpaca. But definitely reach out to the brother, man, support him, man. And what's interesting, the Ace Apparel 7 you know, we were talking because I have an apparel line as well. And one of the things that Antwuan was talking about with his apparel line was the fact that he really is involved with the process of it all. He goes down to the fashion district and touches the apparel and does this and does that. I mean, my stuff is cool. You know, Black Family Apparel is cool, but I ain't gonna lie. I ain't going down to the apparel stuff and touching fabrics and doing all of this. He's taking this thing to another level. So from the standpoint of quality, when you go and you check out the stuff, and I've seen some of the stuff in the room over here, it's dope, right? Make sure you really check it out because he really puts a lot of effort into the back.
And let me say this, and I've always been a person that serves and caters to the needs of others before myself. But I think as an entrepreneur, whether you're white, black, Hispanic, whomever.
This is Black Fathers Now, so you're talking to brothers right now.
Black folks, especially.
Yes, us.
Salon owners, restaurant owners.
We more than salon and restaurant owners. Look, you're
getting to everything.
Yeah, okay.
Valet people, mortuary business, transportation, stewards on flights, customer service reps, everybody. We have a due diligence and we have a responsibility to put forth our best effort. Because we always say, oh, well, you don't support black businesses. You don't do this. You don't do this. That is true. And you have an array of reasons of why. But a lot of times, just being honestly, our service and the quality of what we give and what we present to the public is not up to par.
Ooh, check this out, dude. Check this out.
I love to support black business, but what I hate the most is poor customer service, inadequacies, and tasteless quality. I think Warren Buffett said it the best. He said and I'm paraphrasing. He said the horrible taste of bad quality will remain longer after the sweet taste of a low price has gone.
The horrible taste of bad quality will remain long after the sweet taste of a lower price.
Exactly.
That's so fellas, again, pay attention to what he just said. Being black ain't enough. Just because you black and in business is not enough for me to come and support you, right? I know we would love to think that. I mean, I'm in business. I understand that. I have to provide quality service or else, right? And we can't just rely on the fact that just because I'm black that folks are going to come and, you know, be customers of us. We have to put our best foot forward and we have to service and put service on the forefront of what we do. On the flip side of that, we also got to give us some grace as well. So when you see your other brother or your sister in business, don't write them off because you had one meal that was not perfect. Because
don't give them a bad review on Yelp. Go to them and say, hey, I didn't agree to this meal because of this. Hey, this is maybe something you can do to change it, and give us the opportunity to make those corrections before you go on Yelp and just give us a horrible review.
Absolutely.
And then again, while we're on this soapbox, which we talked about,
come on, let's get it. Don't get it.
I've been in business on the apparel side for 3 months. On the transportation side for 14 years. Ask me for a discount on the transportation side, but don't come and ask me to give you 50% off of my T-shirt when I'm just getting started and trying to get money and get capital to keep it going. So give us grace and a period before you come to us and ask for the hookup.
And even then, look, check this out. So I'm going to be on a soapbox now. You don't go to Nike and ask, hey, Nike, can I get 50% off of that? No, you pay what they say you pay.
You stand in line
That's
for
right.
a whole day for the Jordans.
That's it. If I have a coffee shop, you'll be trying, hey, Mike, let me get some free coffee. You don't go to Starbucks asking for no discount. Right. So, look, take a step back. Give us some grace. Hold us accountable now, but also help us. Yeah, that's right, because we can't get better if you don't hold us accountable. Right? I don't improve. It was interesting. It's funny. We're sitting here talking about this after I give a talk, a speech, a workshop or whatever. And I ask, hey, so how did I do? Yada, yada, yada. And everybody's like, oh, it was so great. And clapping and all this stuff. It was so inspirational. I'm like, yeah, but I don't improve upon that. I'm looking for someone to tell me, what can I improve upon? What did I do wrong? One of my buddies, man, is actually a frat brother of mine, Chris Cole. Chris said in the interview that we had, he said, don't get offended, get feedback. And I was just like, that thing was so profound to me.
That's good.
Yeah, don't get offended, get feedback. And so it's like I have gotten to the point, and the other day I heard a guy talk, it's a guy named Sean Croxton. He was doing an interview, and one of the things this guy was saying, not an interview, he was doing a podcast episode. He said that he said, I don't care about opinions. I only care about counsel. So I was just like, that's powerful as well. I don't care about somebody else's opinion. I care about their counsel. So I look for counsel. I don't look for opinions. On the flip side, I don't get offended. I get feedback. And so to that point, we have to really be mindful of all of that. Take it all in. Give us some grace. Hold us accountable. But at the end of the day, if you are a service provider, provide the service at the highest level possible. Put your best foot forward, because at the end of the day, I keep saying that at the end of the day, I got to work on, that's one of my repeat phrases that I'm on.
Let's change that. Stop saying from the end of the day and say now.
Now, yeah.
Because everything that I do, it's funny. Some people that I'm close to, even when I moved here, and we talked about this, and said I've been here literally 2 weeks, like 15 days, and they came in like, you didn't paint it, you didn't did this, the whole place is furnished, and you got this and this, and you don't play. I was like, why put off what you know you're eventually going to do or what you want to do, and wait for some time or circumstance or whatever? Like, yeah, I'm in here painting at 2 a.m. in the morning because I want it done. Or like we talked about, even with the apparel side, and you sold just the samples and stuff that I have in there. It's like, I'm thinking about it. It's like, oh man, that'd be dope to do one day. No,
do it now. And even if it sits on a shelf and then comes out at an appropriate time, then it's already
that's what
done.
It's gonna be, but it's already done. And by the time that it becomes time to release that, I'm on to something else. I learned something valuable from Jeff Bezos. And y'all don't know, he's the owner of Amazon.
Yeah, he's an Amazon guy.
He plans on a 3-year future forecast. So the meeting that they're having tomorrow, January the 1st, is not for what they're going to do in 2020. It's going to be for what they're going to do in 2023. Wow. Everything that they're going to do in 2020, 2021, 2022
was 3 years ago.
Is already planned out and is already in motion.
Wow. Now, so look,
what's is Black Fathers when?
Black Fathers now.
Not Black Fathers tomorrow.
It's Black Fathers now.
Black Fathers
no, it's Black Fathers now.
It's Black Fathers now.
And dig this. Somebody mentioned to me a while ago that if you look at the word now and you spell it backwards, what do you have?
One.
So if you focus on now, eventually you can spell it backwards. But you got to focus on now. Because, fellas, there's another thing about this whole concept of time. Yesterday is already past. That's a sunk cost. There's nothing you can do about yesterday. Tomorrow is not promised, right? 5 minutes from now is not promised. The only thing that we have in life is this moment. Being in the moment. What are you going to do right now? That's it. You know, we're recording this on New Year's Eve. It's not 2020 yet at the time of this recording. Now, y'all are listening to this in 2020. But right now, it's still 2019. Everybody's making plans about the resolutions and what they're going to do and how this is going to happen. But there's still 5 or 6 hours left in 2019. What am I going to do now?
And it's so funny. We was talking earlier, and a lot of people are coming up, and I guess a family that's coming up, and they was like, what are you doing for New Year's Eve and all that? And even when you asked me this morning, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know what I have to do. What I have to do is to prepare myself to be a better me tomorrow, and that's what I'm going to do. If I get out and enjoy some celebratory moments and stuff with people tonight, I would do that, but that's not my focal point, because after the celebration and you count down and all that stuff, what are you going to do about tomorrow?
Absolutely.
What are you going to do tomorrow that makes you a better you than you are today? And so whether I get out tonight or not, and me being an extrovert and introvert, like we talked about earlier, I'm okay whether if I go out tonight or if I stay in and just look out the window and see the fireworks. But I'm at my computer and I'm planning on how to make $1 million in the next 6 months.
That's what's up.
That's my resolution to the new decade, to the new year. You know, and not on, oh man, what fit am I going to wear? If I go out tonight, I ain't even decided what I'm going to put on or where I'm going to go.
I mean, it's LA too, man. Y'all a little more casual than, New York and all that stuff.
It's not my focal point.
Yeah.
And you know, you see people who don't have their goals in alignment and all that stuff, but they've been planning for months on what they're going to do for this night.
Wow.
And it's only, when you put it in this basic sense, basic form, they've planned for months, just for the last 10 seconds of this year.
For that countdown.
For the countdown.
Prepping for
so
the
you
countdown.
Can get somewhere and do it for the gram for the countdown. You ain't gonna see me on no countdown tonight, but what you will do, you'll see me all next year in different facets as an entrepreneur and as somebody who's advancing in life and helping others achieving my goals.
And what's going to be so interesting about that, fellas, is that we're releasing this. This will come out, I don't know the exact date, sometime in February. So 23rd. This is, I beg your pardon?
The 23rd.
What day is February 23rd?
My birthday.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see if that works on the schedule that I have, but I'll try to make it somewhere around the 23rd or before. But but anyway, this will come out in February, and you all will be able to kind of see what Antwuan's been doing from the end of the year till now. And so you can kind of hold him accountable. Like we mentioned, hold each other accountable. You know what? You can do that. You know, and so you can hit him up on social media. What kind of solutions did he have, and is he still sticking to those? Right.
And what you're going to find is that in February, when this is released, everything that I'm doing now is going to be in full swing and in full motion. And I'm going to make sure that you're able to, when you post this, that you're going to post what has taken place between now and then.
Ooh, all right, y'all. Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? Now, look, again. Mind-blowing. We're talking to my man, Antwuan Hill, and he's the creator of Ace Elite Services, Ace Hill. Ace Elite Services, Ace Speaks, as well as Ace Apparel 7. And all the contact information for him is in the show notes. Man, before we finish up, man, is there anything that you'd like to leave to the brothers before we kind of end this thing up?
Yeah. Beforehand, and we didn't get to touch this in the podcast, but we can talk from everything from Kanye West to Kirk Franklin to slavery to where you and I met, what we're doing now versus what we've done, center of influence, proximity to your goals and dreams, and how to get there and all that stuff. I will leave this with all the brothers. One, don't be afraid to be vulnerable, whether that's in your emotional life, in your professional life, in your spiritual life. Be vulnerable. We don't have all the answers, and we all need help. So lean on one another to get that help. Two, we need our sisters.
Big time.
We think we're the backbone. We think we're the strongest. We think we're the support. We're not. We're weak. We need our sisters to validate us, to uplift us, and to really, I don't know how politically correct or incorrect this is, to kick us in the ass when we're doing what we know we should be doing or when we're not reaching our full potential. I could not have achieved the success that I have achieved if it wasn't for my mom, if it wasn't for even my little sisters, if it wasn't for my niece, if it wasn't for my wife, if it wasn't for all those people in my life the women in my life, who saw not only where I was, but what I could be. They kept pushing me to do that. Because brothers ain't, a lot of times we like, oh man, you did it, man, you got two chicks from the club and you're taking it home, oh man, you got a nice whip, and we're going to celebrate that. How many times are we going to say, oh man, that's dope, man, you holding your wife down. You know, you a strong role mother of what a family's supposed to be and the head of what a family's supposed to be. Or, man, you know what, I'm so glad that you still driving that 1987 Honda Civic, but you got, 3 businesses going and all that. We don't do that. We celebrate the flashiness, not the foundation. So in 2020 and beyond, man, love on the sisters, have your support system, celebrate what men are supposed to look like in a model family and not the flashiness of men. And then let's grow together, because I can't do it without you. You can't do it without me.
Absolutely.
And so we need each other.
We need each other. Rethink the way you move,
Rethink
fellas.
the way you move.
Dig that, dig that. So again, make sure to follow my man Antwuan Hill on social media, Ace Elite Services, Ace Speaks, and Ace Apparel 7. I have all the contact information in the show notes. Make sure to let him know you heard about him on Black Fathers Now, and make sure to support the brother, man. He got some really good stuff going, and just check him out. Check him out, and let him know you heard about him here. As always, make sure to follow Black Fathers Now on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Visit blackfathersnow.com. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Subscribe. Share. Leave ratings, and leave comments. And share this bad boy out, man. We want to help as many brothers as possible. Every brother in America should be listening to Black Fathers Now. After this episode, every brother in America should know who Antwuan Hill is. And be in contact with him to learn, because the brother has a really powerful journey. And, fellas.
And I need y'all, man. So help me. Reach out to me, not just to support me, but allow me to support you and allow me to glean from you and learn from you.
Absolutely, man. Reach out.
I want to rethink the way I move, too.
Daddy, look, we got to dig that. And until next time, fellas, man, as always, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.
Yo, fellas, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And always visit blackfathersnow.com, as well as follow Black Fathers Now on virtually every social media platform you can think of. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Just follow us and engage with us, man. Look forward to hearing from you. And I guess until next time, I'll holler at you. Peace.